Tonight, we travel back to the elegant yet rigid world of Victorian England, an age where love was a calculated performance and marriage often felt more like a business deal than a romantic adventure. Being a wife in this era required skills never taught in school and a quiet strength you might not even know you possess. So, find a cozy spot, take a slow, deep breath, let your body relax as we step into another century together. You open your eyes and it's 1860. You're 18 years old, waking up in a grand but chilly Victorian bedroom. Morning light filters through heavy velvet curtains. Your thick cotton nightgown clings warmly to your skin, but the moment your bare feet touch the wooden floor, the cold bites, a sharp reminder that central heating hasn't been invented yet. This year is your season, your official debut into society. From this moment on, every glance, every word, every gesture will be watched, judged, and whispered about. One wrong move could shatter your reputation forever. In Victorian England, romance doesn't happen the way it does today. There's no texting, not a casual walk alone, not even a private conversation without a chaperone. Your mother enters the room, her voice calm but firm. "Today, my dear, we begin preparing you for society." Dressing is an elaborate ritual. First, the stays, a supportive, structured undergarment that keeps your back straight. Then the soft cotton shift, layers of rustling white petticoats, and finally your pale blue morning gown. But beneath the fabric, you wear something else, an invisible set of rules. Rule 1. Never be alone with a gentleman unless engaged. Rule 2. You may not write him letters, accept certain gifts, or linger too long in a handshake. Rule 3. Appear graceful, intelligent, and accomplished, but never intimidating. Still, love finds its way. Sometimes it hides inside the flick of a fan. The language of the fan is a secret code every well-bred lady learns. Fan closed against the left cheek? No. Against the right? Yes. Fanning quickly, I wish to speak to you. Drawing it across the forehead, we are being watched. Dropping it, you belong to me. Your first test comes at a dinner party. The air smells of beeswax, rosewater, and roasted meat. Candlelight dances across silk gowns and polished silver. Mr. Charles Whitmore is introduced. Kind eyes, polite bow, a voice steady but curious. You speak of books, choosing Jane Eyre. Bold but respectable. He smiles, intrigued. You lift your fan halfway. A subtle message. I like you. Proceed carefully. His gaze sharpens. He understands. A quiet promise passes between you, a meeting that no one else will ever know was arranged. The evening ends with a waltz, daring by Victorian standards. For 3 brief minutes, you're close enough to hear his breath and yet still obeying every rule of propriety. In this world, even the smallest touch can feel like a spark. And that's the Victorian dance of love, restrained, coded, and wrapped in layers of silk and silence.
His gloved hand rests lightly at your waist, while yours rests upon his shoulder. In Victorian society, this is the closest you may ever stand to a man who is not your husband. The touch feels both thrilling and unfamiliar, the faint warmth of his hand slipping through the barrier of fine fabrics. As he guides you through a graceful turn, the faint scent of his cologne, woody, deep, and distinctly masculine, rises to meet you, making your pulse quicken. For a moment, you understand why the strictest members of society call the waltz dangerous. But all too soon, the music fades. He bows, you curtsy. The magic scatters like candlelight in a draught, replaced once more with the cautious rhythm of chaperoned conversation and fleeting glances across crowded rooms. This is courtship in your world. 3 minutes of dancing can feel like a rebellion, and the scandal of an ungloved hand could echo for months. In this world, small gestures carry weight. A smile is not just a smile, it is the only gift you are allowed to give. A single glance can hold the meaning of a love letter, because love letters are forbidden unless an engagement is formalized. Weeks pass, and your connection with Mr. Whitmore grows, though not by chance. You find yourselves browsing the same lending library shelves on Tuesday afternoons, seated across from each other at musical recitals and attending the same dinner parties. Your mothers, ever observant, notice the pattern and approve. They are not unaware, and they are quietly pleased. Still, as you learn more about the reality of marriage, you begin to see its true shape. Love is not the foundation. It is the embellishment, the pleasant surprise, if it appears at all. Marriage here is a contract woven from the threads of money, land, and reputation. Your father and Mr. Whitmore's father have already spoken, not about your happiness, but about the exchange of wealth and advantage. These discussions, held behind closed doors, will determine the rest of your life. You will not see the terms until they are decided. The Whitmores wish to know the exact sum of your dowry. Your father wishes to know the extent of Charles's inheritance and his plans for providing for a wife. The match is weighed and measured like a business deal, and you are not the negotiator. You are the prize. You are lucky in one sense. Your parents care whether you approve of Charles. Many women do not have such luxury. You've heard of girls meeting their husbands for the first time on their wedding day. You've heard of marriages arranged to erase debts or forge alliances. Love irrelevant. Choice non-existent. At another gathering, your friend Margaret leans close to tell you about her cousin Emily, married to a man 40 years older because his shipping empire rescued her father from bankruptcy. They met for the first time at the altar. The more you learn, the more you understand the cost. Once married, your legal identity will vanish into your husband's. The law calls it coverture. A married woman's rights are absorbed by her husband's name. Your property becomes his. Your choices become his to make. Even your children would belong to him if disputes arise. You will be sheltered under his identity, but it is a shelter that erases you. For now, you are still yourself. Miss Harrison with her own thoughts, her own choices, but the pressure to marry well tightens around you like the laces of your stays. Society does not approve of spinsters. A woman who remains unmarried is seen as a failure, a burden, and object of pity. She drifts between the homes of male relatives, always a guest in her own life. And so you continue, perfecting your fan language, mastering polite conversation, hoping that Charles's kindness is as genuine as it appears. At night, in the quiet of your room, you think of the women before you, your mother, your grandmother, each of them surrendering freedom for security, their lives shaped by the same set of rules. Some found contentment, others simply endured. Morning will come, as it always does. You will lace your stays, arrange your gown, and step back into the choreography of courtship. The candlelight flickers, shadows sway on the wallpaper. Soon you'll sleep, dreaming perhaps of a future where love and choice are not strangers. But in the morning, the dance begins again. And it leads always to the same moment. That moment arrives sooner than you expect. Charles, now simply Charles in your private thoughts, asks your father for your hand. The discussion takes place in your father's study over brandy and cigars, while you sit in the morning room, embroidery idle in your lap. ears straining for the murmur of voices beyond the door. You catch fragments, laughter, low bargaining turns, the scratching of a pen signing agreements. When they emerge, both men wear the satisfied expressions of a deal well made. "My dear, Mr. Whitmore has something to ask you." Charles takes your hands in his, the soft kid leather warm against your skin. "Miss Harrison, would you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" You say yes, because it is expected, because you do like him, and because to refuse would be to invite scandal. Yet as the words leave you, you feel a quiet shift inside, a door closing on possibilities you will never explore. The engagement weeks blur into fittings, visits, and preparations. Your trousseau is assembled. Morning dresses, visiting gowns, evening silks, and household linens. In the dressmaker's mirror, the bride in white silk and seed pearls stares back at you, a stranger both beautiful and unfamiliar. Whispered advice comes from married women over tea. One says, "Be patient." Another says, "It is your duty to provide heirs." Voice heavy with unspoken truths. The details are never openly discussed, only hinted at, as though knowledge itself is something women are meant to stumble into. The wedding day dawns with a brittle October sunlight. Soon you'll walk into a new life, one chosen for you as much as by you. The vows will bind you, the law will change you, and the life you know will disappear into the life you will be given.
Everything appears as though brushed onto the world in watercolor. Golden light filters obliquely through the church windows, catching the drifting motes of dust that dance like fragments from a forgotten fairy tale. Your gown whispers with a soft rustle, like secrets too delicate to be spoken aloud, as you walk down the aisle upon your father's arm. For a fleeting instant, the scene feels touched by true enchantment. Charles stands at the altar, handsome in his mourning coat, his brown eyes warm as they meet yours. The vicar's voice rises to the vaulted ceiling, solemn and resonant, leading you through vows that sound tender until one listens closely. In truth, they bind you not as an equal, but as an extension of your husband, a possession with no separate legal self. The wedding breakfast becomes a haze of smiling faces, lavish dishes and champagne that leaves your head light and dreamlike. Your new mother-in-law kisses your cheek and welcomes you into the family with words that seem affectionate, yet feel curiously transactional, an open acknowledgement that you have been passed from one household's keeping to another. Your father's ward no longer, you are now your husband's property. The carriage ride to your new home lasts 3 jolting hours, the uneven road rattling your teeth and loosening your elaborate coiffure so that it lists precariously to one side. Charles sits beside you, speaking cheerfully of the countryside and the home you will share, though a faint thread of nervous anticipation weaves through your hurried conversation. Whitmore Hall proves smaller than your father's estate, yet its charm is undeniable. Ivy clings to its stone facade, and the gardens are clearly tended with care. The staff are assembled to greet you: Mrs. Crawford, the housekeeper, the cook, 2 housemaids, a parlour-maid, and a scullery girl who cannot be more than 14. They stand expectant, awaiting your direction, and you realize with a sudden chill that you have not the faintest notion how to manage a household. Your mother taught you to embroider, to speak French, and to play the pianoforte, yet never how to organize servants, plan a week's worth of meals, or address tradesmen who deliver substandard goods. These skills, it seems, are assumed to arrive instinctively, or else be acquired through mortifying trial and error. Mrs. Crawford, her hair the grey of tempered steel, and her expression scarcely softer, leads you through the rooms with the gravity of one presenting evidence. The master takes his breakfast precisely at 8. Kippers on Tuesdays and Fridays, eggs and bacon on the others. His tea, strong with 1 lump of sugar. You nod, trying to commit each detail to memory, for your husband's comfort has now become your principal duty. Should his breakfast be late or his tea too weak, it will be your fault, not the cook's. The house itself feels vast compared with the familiar, cozier confines of your girlhood home. Room after room reveals furniture belonging to Charles's family, arranged according to his mother's taste, the entire order of the household orbiting around his habits and desires.
You feel very much a guest in what is ostensibly your own home, an unease you suspect will linger for months, perhaps even years. Your bedchamber is linked to Charles's by a small dressing room, a most practical arrangement, designed to afford a measure of privacy while still preserving the immediate access marriage apparently demands. The bed itself is a grand affair, vast and imposing, hung with heavy curtains that can be drawn for warmth and secrecy. The mere sight of it sends a flutter of apprehension through your stomach at the thought of what the coming night will entail. Mrs. Crawford appears once more, this time bearing the household accounts, thick, weighty ledgers chronicling every penny spent on candles, soap, coal and food. The late Mrs. Whittemore, God rest her soul, was, by all accounts, fastidious in such matters. Every entry was examined, and any sum exceeding 2 shillings was subject to her questioning. You gaze at the neat, unwavering columns of figures, and in them you glimpse your future. It will fall to you daily to review these ledgers, to manage the household budget, and to make decisions that might influence your family's standing. Spend too lavishly, and Charles will notice. Spend too sparingly, and any decline in quality will not escape his attention either. The weight of responsibility settles on your shoulders like a heavy winter shawl. You are now charged with the smooth operation of a household that employs 6 souls and upholds the social standards befitting a gentleman's family. One ill-conceived dinner could jeopardize Charles's business ties. One lapse in housekeeping could tarnish his standing in society. As evening draws near, your new lady's maid, a young woman named Sarah, assists you from your wedding gown and into a nightdress that feels, paradoxically, both too revealing and too concealing. The white cotton is softer than anything you have ever worn, yet it has been fashioned with a singular purpose you only dimly understand. A polite knock sounds upon the connecting door. Charles's voice, careful and formal, asks permission to enter, his manner betraying a nervousness that matches your own. At your assent, he steps inside, dressed in a sober dressing gown that lends him an older, more serious air than the charming young man who had courted you with such deliberate propriety. What follows is awkward, uncomfortable, and bears no resemblance whatsoever to the romantic tales you have in secret devoured. Charles is gentle, patient even, but the physical reality of marriage proves startling and painful in ways for which no one has prepared you. Later, lying in the dark and listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing as he drifts into slumber, you come to understand why so many married women speak not of pleasure, but of duty. This, then, is the exchange. Your independence traded for the legal right to belong to a man who, though kind, is still, in truth, a stranger. In return, you have acquired the social respectability of marriage and the security of never fearing the fate of an aging spinster. Not an unworthy bargain, perhaps, but final
and utterly irreversible. The following morning delivers your first true test as mistress of Whittemore Hall. You wake to find Charles already dressed and sequestered in his study, attending to correspondence of pressing importance. The servants, meanwhile, await your instructions for the day's meals, a matter on which you realize with a pang you possess little knowledge beyond Mrs. Crawford's brief summary of your husband's preferences. Still feeling curiously like an intruder, you make your way to the kitchen. There, amidst the comforting aroma of bread and the faint clatter of pans, stands cook, a plump woman with flour dusting her apron and hands, as though it has seeped into her very being, waiting, like the others, for you to begin your new life in earnest.